First, I want to see, is this your simplified resume?
I'm sorry,
Your CV?
no.
This is not yours? It's from MGH website.
This is me. Yes. This is not my CV.
Okay, so this is your information, correct?
And just for the record, we're referring to what's been marked as exhibit number 6, which looks like a printout dated 3/10/2014 from MGH. You can answer.
I've never seen this document before.
Okay, so you know this MGH title. If I search doctor and type your name, this information will come out.
I didn't know that.
See all of those information about you correct or not.
It appears to be correct. I don't know what insurances are accepted by my office, but other than that, it appears to be correct.
So you graduated from Harvard Medical School.
I graduated from Harvard Medical School.
How many years?
Somebody answered that. You can answer it again.
I graduated in 2006, I believe. I graduated in 2006.
So you've been studied 6 years, medical school.
My medical school was 5 years.
5 years, that's including pre-med?
No.
No. Well, you completed your bachelor degree in Harvard School,
No.
in Harvard University?
No.
May I ask which university?
Columbia University.
So you finished in Columbia University, then went to Harvard Medical School.
Correct.
What is the major in Columbia University?
I was an English major.
English
major?
English major.
Correct.
That's 4 years.
Yes. Yes.
Then 5 years medical school in Harvard Medical School.
Yes.
How many years resident in MGH?
6 years combined fellowship and residency.
Totally in MGH?
Yes.
You did not go to other medical, the hospital for residency?
No.
No. Okay. But why the patient group say pediatric? What it means?
Pediatric means children. I see children in the child psychiatry department at Mass General.
But it does not mean in pediatric department.
I do also see some children in the pediatric department at Mass General because I completed residencies in both pediatric medicine and psychiatry.
But you worked for psychiatry department in MGH?
Mostly, yes.
Thank you. And you already involved some process of committee a patient before you met me. And I'm wondering for this marked exhibit 1, if you can remember anything about this.
I don't recall this.
Okay, can you see the next page? So you have no idea. You did not see this kind of paper before?
I have seen this kind of paper before. I don't recall this specific paper.
I see. So you know this is a file petition.
Yes, I can read it here.
I see.
And for the record, it's petition for determination of incompetency and for authorization of medical treatment for mental illness, GL Chapter 123, Section 8B, is what the witness was referring to.
Thank you, Attorney Coleman. Do you know this physician?
Yes.
Larry Park.
Yes.
You know him? What was his position back to the time I was there?
I don't recall what his position was when you were at MGH. He was an attending physician at MGH when I was in training.
When you were training, but why didn't you sign this, or rather, Dr. Park signed this petition?
I don't know.
But did you remember back to that time I was there? Did Dr. Park come to talk to me or give me any treatment?
Objection, you can answer.
I don't recall.
But who was your supervisor back to that time?
Objection, you can answer.
I had many supervisors.
But do you remember who was my treatment physician?
Objection, you can answer. You're asking for your entire admission at MGH? Who
No,
was your...
back to that time when you were there.
Okay.
You met me. I think that's relevant to my case.
You can answer if you recall.
I would not have recalled. During my time on the inpatient unit, I had many supervisors.
But when you handle to the process to commit Miss Yang Li, do you remember who was your supervisor?
I would not have recalled who my supervisor was for that specific case.
Okay. Let's see the marked exhibit 2. It's an affidavit of Marina Yurenchenko, MD. If you can remember this. So, who was a doctor?
This affidavit is from Dr. Yoroshenko.
Was Dr. Yurenchenko your supervisor?
She was one of my supervisors.
And do you remember back to that time, and you involved the process to commit Miss Yang Li? Was Dr. Yurenchenko your supervisor?
I would not have recalled whether Dr. Yoroshenko was the supervisor or not. I see that her name is on this document, but I would not have recalled without this document.
Did you see, can you read through these parts, please?
And just for the record, it's paragraph number 5 you're referring to.
So it says, I have conferred with the following clinical staff in rendering the opinions expressed in this affidavit. 1, Renee Sorrentino, MD. 2, Elizabeth Pinsky, MD. 3, Christopher Carter, LICSW. 4, Raj Gopal, HMS 4. 5, Larry Park, MD.
So, was your name listed there?
Yes.
What it means, consult,
Objection, I believe it says conferred.
conferred. What it means, conferred from the people with this name.
Objection to the extent that she didn't author this document, if you have any.
But your name was there.
Yes, my name is on this list.
So in your understanding, why your name was there?
Presumably, I did not write the document, presumably because Dr. Yoroshenko conferred with me.
What do you mean conferred? Means ask you some question or ask your opinion?
I don't know what Dr. Yoroshenko meant, but presumably, yes.
So confer, I'm sorry, let me see the English word. Confer, see, I even don't understand. Can you explain, sorry, can you explain the meaning of the English word confer? Means not confirm. Is confer the same as confirm?
Objection. If you don't understand the question, you can ask her to repeat it or rephrase it. If you want to step in and give your opinion as to what the English word conferred is, you can as well.
Yeah, if you can explain to me what confer
To me,
means.
conferred means discussed.
Discuss. Okay. Confer means discuss, kind of consult or something.
Objection. She's already offered her English definition of what the word conferred means. That's going far
Okay,
afield.
yeah, thank you. So it means Dr. Yoroshenko discussed with these people, including you, about Miss Yang Li's situation.
I don't recall.
You don't recall.
No.
You don't recall. But in your memory, you remember me.
I do.
And do you anything you recall? What is the reason I was sent to there?
Objection. You can answer it to the extent you understand it.
Can you refer?
I was sent to mental section.
Mm-hmm.
What was the reason?
My recollection is that you were sent to the psychiatry unit because you had jumped and hurt yourself.
How do you know Miss Li jumped somewhere? How did you know?
You told me.
Miss Li told you she jumped? Are you sure?
Yes.
How?
Can you clarify?
How she told you she jumped? She used the word jump?
I don't recall. I would have to look at my record.
So you cannot remember if Miss Li used the word jump.
I can't recall if you used the word jump.
And what else you can remember?
Can you be more specific?
What else you remember when I was there? And how did you treat? I was Miss Li was under your treatment, correct?
Under the supervision of an attending, yes.
Under the supervision of Dr. Yoroshenko.
I don't recall who was my attending.
Okay, so you're not even able to remember who was your supervisor.
I would not have recalled, no.
But do you remember why you filed petition? Means the group filed the petition.
I don't recall being involved in the filing of the petition.
Okay, you don't You don't recall you involved filed a petition. Have you? But did you meet Miss Lee every day?
Objection. You could
Even-
answer to-
I recall meeting you.
Mhm.
I don't recall for how many days.
You don't recall for how many days? In your regular process in the hospital, did you generally do you meet your patient every day or not?
On the inpatient unit, yes, every day.
So on the inpatient unit, you meet your patient every day. It's general.
Yes, in general, yes.
Miss Lee was in the mental section. What that means in the internal inpatient. So Miss Lee was inpatient,
Yes.
which means if even you don't remember, but for the general process, you should meet Miss Lee every day.
Yes.
And another question is, do you know Dr. Yurishenko well?
Objection. You can answer.
I don't know how you define well.
Means you familiar, you work with her.
I have met her and I have worked with her.
And do you believe she speaks good English?
Objection. You can answer.
Yes.
But do you believe my English good enough? Is good enough to speak to you?
Objection. You can answer.
It would depend.
It will depend. Do you believe I speak English in some accent?
Yes.
And do you think the accent is very strong?
Moderately strong?
Except my accent, have you ever noticed any error, the language error, English language error when I speak?
Are you asking for a present or back when in 2008?
Both, back to that time or even now. It's a general idea.
Okay. Well, I object to the present. If you have a memory back in 2008, that's fair game. But
Okay, well, if you can answer back to that.
I don't recall.
You don't recall my English problem. Have you ever noticed Dr. Yurishenko speak English with accent?
I don't recall.
You don't recall. What about now? Does she still speak English with accent?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't
So after you met me, you did not work with Dr. Yurishenko.
I don't recall.
You don't recall. Was that fair to say Miss Lee and Dr. Yurishenko difficult to understand each other?
objection.
In your memory,
I don't recall.
you don't recall. Was that fair to say you talk to Miss Lee back to that time every day?
Objection. We've covered this. You can answer it again if you.
I recall meeting you. I don't recall how many days I worked with you.
So you remember you meet me lonely or with teamwork?
I don't recall.
You don't recall. In your regular process, you met your patients every day. Regularly, you met your patients alone or with your team?
The initial interview might be conducted alone or with other people. I don't recall. Daily meetings are conducted with the group after the initial meeting.
What do you mean initial meeting? Means the first time, only first time or
First-
first day?
First interview, admission interview,
Mhm.
might be alone or with other people. Daily meetings are in general with the treatment team.
So, have you, I mean, if you have any memory about you meet Miss Lee daily meeting, you involved the daily meeting,
I don't recall the daily meetings.
but for the process, there should be daily meeting.
Yes.
So you just cannot remember.
No.
Was that fair to say? Each time you meet Miss Lee, you were able to talk to Miss Lee.
I don't recall all the meetings.
Not all the meetings, any memory.
I
What's
think
the
I don't
question?
understand.
Yeah.
What is the question?
I mean, you feel you are generally you were able to talk to Miss Lee, means general communication.
On the meetings that you can recall, if you can recall any of them, did you have any difficulty communicating with Miss Lee?
Not that I recall.
Not recall. Let's see the exhibit number 3. If you can see what it is.
State what it is.
Wait,
Is-
I can't hear you. What'd you say?
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
asking, state what it is.
Yes. If you can, if you know what it is.
Have you ever seen this document before?
Not that I recall.
There you go. So why don't you identify Miss Lee and we can take it from there?
Okay. Can you read through it? If you don't, maybe help you to recall something.
Sure.
So it appears to be a handwritten note signed by you, dated September 17th, 2008, to MGH. I request that remove Dr. Yoroshenko out of my treatment team for her dishonest affidavit, illogical conclusion, baseless statement that, quote, Miss Lee has also verbally threatened others, unquote, put additional fake words into my original words, selectively picked up subjunctive, quote, fact, unquote, and ignored objective fact in order to I can't read that word.
Unreasonable.
Unreasonableize. Then it is open parentheses, Chinese, / ellipsis, close parentheses. I request to let an Asian staff involve all meetings for my treatment. One Asian witness will stop false statements. I believe, very truly yours, Yong Lee.
Thank you. So, you have no memory about this letter?
No.
Not at all?
No.
And this is exhibit 4. And do you remember this one, or if you can tell what this is?
I do not recall this one. It appears to be another note handwritten by you.
So in your memory, you did not remember anything, so we have communication difficulty, you and me or your team, the team you involved for my treatment.
Objection. Could you repeat the
I
question?
mean, in your memory, you did not, have you remember anything, any difficulty dealing with communication?
I don't specifically recall.
You don't specifically recall. Do you remember you find some interpreter come to this team when I was there? Do you remember?
I don't specifically recall.
So you're not even able to remember if interpreter come.
If you can recall an interpreter, you can answer.
I recall that we had an interpreter present. I don't recall specifics.
So you do remember that interpreter come.
Yes.
Do you remember man or women, the interpreter?
I don't recall.
You don't recall. Why the interpreter came?
I don't recall why the interpreter came.
You cannot remember why the interpreter came.
No.
But by now you understand why the interpreter came.
Objection, you can answer.
I don't know why the interpreter came.
But in your mental section, for your patients, have you ever asked help from an interpreter?
Yes.
So what is the reason to have an interpreter?
In general,
Mm-hmm.
if I have any concern that I may not understand a patient, or if a patient expresses any sense they may not understand or be understood.
So you understand that the interpreter just help you to understand something.
Can you
I mean,
repeat the question?
you do understand why you need an interpreter,
Yes.
but you still don't understand why the interpreter come
I
when I was
don't recall.
You don't recall. Did Miss Lee ever ask you for interpreter?
I don't recall.
You still don't recall. Did Miss Lee ask you to have a doctor who speaks Mandarin
I don't
come?
recall.
You don't recall? Did you answer Miss Lee, no, we cannot give you a Chinese doctor?
I don't recall the question.
You don't recall the question.
I don't recall.
So means in your memory, Miss Lee never asked you. Asked for Mandarin speaking doctor?
Objection, she just said she couldn't recall it. She's not denying that it took place. She just can't recall it.
Just can't recall. Okay, thank you. General, for your general process in mental section, if a patient asks interpreter help, normally, did you find the interpreter for the patient or not?
Yes.
Or a had to? Is that a process or some obligation?
Both. Yes.
Both. But if a patient asks a doctor who speaks a specific language, do you have such an obligation to provide?
Objection, to the extent that you have any knowledge of that.
I
you can answer.
don't know. No.
No? So, for all of the experience you worked in the mental section down MGH, nobody asked you for any doctor speak specific language.
If you can recall whether somebody asked you for a physician that spoke a specific language, you can answer.
People have requested that.
But did you provide or not?
I don't recall.
People ask that. Was Miss Lee asked you?
I don't recall.
Okay, except Miss Lee, somebody asked you. Somebody else asked you for a doctor speak certain language, not English. And you don't recall you provided or not.
I don't recall if I provided or not.
Which means you never provided. You never provided a doctor who speaks certain language.
Um,
Could we have the question back?
can I think of a, sorry.
We want to have the specific question?
You mean me ask?
No, you just report
Oh.
report if you could read back.
Which means you never provided it, you never provided a doctor who speaks certain language.
I'll object to that, but you can answer if you understand it.
Say
I
again?
have attempted to do so.
You have attempted to provide. To do so means to provide some doctor.
Yes.
So means you like to provide a doctor with speak certain language.
It would depend.
What do you mean depend?
It would depend on the specifics.
What do you mean depend specific if language is not very bad or
Objection? I don't think that's a complete question.
but you said it depend. Some means some patient ask doctor speak other language. You provide it. You attempt to provide.
It would depend on the setting and the availability and whether I thought it was appropriate.
Whether you thought it's appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Since you don't remember Miss Lee's case,
Mm-hmm.
but you understand the two letters. What is the purpose of these two letters?
Objection. I'm not going to let her comment on the purpose of a letter that she's not seen before and that she didn't author.
Are you sure you never see it before?
I don't recall seeing them.
You don't recall to see it. But if by now a patient ask you, like Chinese patient ask you, doctor speak Mandarin, do you attempt to provide or not?
I think she's already answered that it depends
It
on
would
the
depend.
setting, the
It
specifics, and
depends.
the appropriateness of it. So,
Okay, but if the Chinese patient sent a letter to request someone speak Mandarin, do you attempt to provide
It
or
would
not?
depend
It still depend,
on this. It would depend on the specifics.
and even with this letter, you still believe it depend.
I don't recall this
Mhm.
letter, and I didn't.
You don't recall the one letter. You don't recall the second letter.
I haven't read this letter.
Okay. Can you read through the Exhibit 4, please?
yeah, read it through yourself.
If you can read it, so I can record it.
Okay, you can read it out loud.
September 18th, 2008. Dear MGH, due to mental evaluation based on doctor's personal experience, I request that each conversation should set up a tape recorder and we should keep all full records only in case any doctor cut off sentence, distort, exaggerate my words. Plus, a Chinese staff should sign into my treatment team for anything miscommunication check. Very truly yours, Yongli.
So you understand the English in this letter, English level.
Objection. Do you understand the letter?
Parts of it I do, parts of it I don't.
Means even now, some parts of you don't understand.
Yes.
Yes means you do understand.
Yes means part I don't understand.
What was the last sentence say?
It says, plus a Chinese staff should sign into my treatment team for anything miscommunication check.
So what, from this sentence, do you know what is this purpose?
Well, I'm going to object. She doesn't recall seeing this back in September of 2008. And you're asking for what she's saying the purpose is as she sits here today. That's not what she's being called here.
Okay,
She's calling-
I'm asking the general question. As a doctor, you are attendant now.
Right, and you're asking for a question or opinion as she sits here today.
Yeah.
And she never saw this letter back in 2008, so I'm not going to let her comment on what her opinion is as she
Okay.
sits here today.
Okay, I don't ask a specific comments for this letter. If a patient ask you for a Chinese doctor and even write letter and ask for good communication, would you attempt to assign or not?
She's already answered this question, but she can answer it once again.
It would depend.
It would depend. In your judgment, what about my English now? Good or general?
You can answer the question to the extent that you have an opinion as to her
Yeah.
English language as she sits here
opinion.
today.
It would depend.
It will depend, for example. So you still don't understand, you still feel difficult communicate with me like today?
Objection, you can answer.
What is the question?
I mean, do you feel difficult to communicate with me now, generally, in your opinion?
It depends on the purpose of our conversation.
The purpose, just like today, I ask a question, you answer for the deposition. So you still think it's not good enough?
Objection. You're asking far afield, you're asking for opinions as she
Yeah.
sits here today. Has nothing to do with the care and treatment in 2008. I've given you some latitude to ask her some questions about her opinion as she sits here today as to your English, but I'm not going to let much more of this proceed if you have a specific question.
Okay. For all the question I asked, you answered. For, like today, we already went through the question. Do you believe you fully understand my question or not fully understand my question?
I've needed clarification for some of your questions.
Like what kind of clarification? If
Oh.
for
Okay, you can finish your question. Sorry.
what kind of clarification you need?
Well, the record is going to speak for itself. Is there every instance that we've asked for clarification? She's not going to repeat everything that's been said at this deposition. If you have another question, you can ask it, but I'm not going to let her answer that.
But what do you mean clarification?
If you're asking for the specific definition of the word clarification,
Yes, she said.
yeah, you can answer that.